you name it, I've been through it.
Right.
And so the book was really inspired to help people realize that if I've been through these challenges, you can make it through. Let me tell you what's really hard is when you're on a show where your job is to have emotional issues and like get people to cry, and that happens. Like that is the worst, okay? Where people are like telling you their deepest, darkest secrets, and I'm like into it, and I'm like, yes, okay, thank you for opening up, thank you for sharing, and then all of a sudden it's like, and I'm like,
Man.
okay, I can't, I don't want you to feel bad, so yeah.
Obviously, you're a pretty big icon, especially like in the gay community. And my friend told me I am too, but I disagree. I know you have an autobiography out now. So, you're already on Queer Eye, you're a pretty big person there. So what inspired you to like kind of put down everything you're teaching into like a book form?
Sure, so for me, the reason I did the book was originally I wanted to do an advice book to sort of expand on what I already do on Queer Eye. And my publishers were like, no, people know you, but they don't really know all the challenges you've been through to get to where you are. And I thought about like what has helped me to really connect is not just my degree that's given me an angle of being able to really help people through their emotional and mental issues, but it's because I've lived through it. So I've lived through drug abuse, I've lived through domestic violence in my home, and being a part of a domestic violence relationship, I've lived through racism, homophobia, colorism, just the list goes on. I've been through it. And with my background in social work, I was like, I know how to do it, but a lot of people don't. So here's a way for you to say, oh, he's been through it. I would love to hear about his story and get to know him, but also at the end of every chapter, it's clear tools on how people can get through it. Because no shade to anybody who's written a book, but I can't stand when memoirs are like, me, but then like there's no takeaway for the audience.
Right.
Hopefully by reading my book, they'll realize they'll get there.
Right, and I think also part of it's like knowing that no one's gonna be happy and perfect 100% of the time, which is what social media does.
Oh my gosh, let me tell you something. Social media, Instagram, Facebook, love them, but they have effed us up.
Oh yeah.
Also that Facebook algorithm has screwed our country up. Let's be real.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just gonna, not to get political, but the reason that people are so divided is because that algorithm only feeds you people who see and believe like you believe.
Exactly.
And it's not giving us ability to meet people with different points of view anymore.
Right.
So of course you're going to feel empowered and emboldened in your point of views, even if they're misguided.
Right. I want to know more about like that day that you found out you're going to be part of the Fab Five. Like, what was that phone call, text, email like?
We had this chemistry test where they brought like, I say 140 gays. The other guys are like, it's 30 gays. Somebody else said it was 200 gays. There was a whole bunch of gays.
Yeah.
Bobby calls it the Hunger Games because that's what it was like.
With a Y, right?
Yeah, exactly. And literally, we connected in the first 5 minutes. We kind of were rooting for each other without even knowing that we could have been competing against each other. And so I got the call first, and the producers told me not to call the other guy.
Oh, they told you.
They were like, do not call because they had broken it down to the final 10, and they were like, you don't know which of the 10 we chose. You only know you're chosen, and you're the first call. And I was like, okay, but at that time we had already had a group chat called the Fab Five. And so I immediately got on the Fab Five and I was like, hey guys, I just got the call. I made it. I'm in the show. Who's next?
But cool. So I want to go in a little bit into identity, because I was actually listening to one of your podcasts, and that's like a big topic.
You listened to my podcast?
I did, yeah. I was just like,
you.
identity is great. And like, I mean, like as a gay Latino man, I fucking sure as hell have so much identity like issue and trauma. So I want to just talk to you about your coming out experience. How was that for you, like as a Jamaican Cuban man?
Sure. So I first of all don't use the term coming out. I use the term letting people in. I'm not mad at anybody else who uses the term coming out, but for me, the term coming out sort of takes the power away from people in our community. It says that we're giving someone else the power to accept or deny us, and the only person you should be worried about is accepting you is yourself. Secondly, these grand statements that we're forced to make say that we don't have the ability to set boundaries of who we want to know intimate details of our lives. I've never been ashamed of who I am. I started letting people into my life when I was 12, and I've never felt I never felt appreciative of these moments where there's somebody standing here, my mom's coworker, that I now have to like go into this grand statement about my intimate life when I don't know you. Thirdly, this whole idea of like coming out of a closet, where that originates from, there is no closet, and if there was a closet, I need to find it, and there better be a pot of gold in there for all the BS that I've had to go through. And then after I collect my coins, I'm going to burn that closet down. What I learned very early on was that their opinion of who I am could either turn into fear-based decisions in my life or love-based decisions. And meaning that I was going to realize that if they didn't like me, that I was going to start being fearful that I was going to be rejected, that my life wouldn't be good. And then that would start dictating how I was moving through the world. And instead, I decided to consciously make love-based decisions. So if someone said they didn't want to be let into my life, you know, I always use the antidote my grandma gave me, is that think about yourself as your home. If somebody doesn't want to come into your home, into your party, you close the door and go dance to your music and have your cocktail.
Who was like a biggest person that like helped you through it, do you think?
And there's not just one big person, there was several. You know, when I was addicted to drugs, I got to a place where I was suicidal, and I found myself in the hospital, and there was a nurse that came in there and gave me the courage to be strong every day, that gave my mother the courage to be strong, that helped my father give me a call so that we could start to try to mend our relationship. Do I know that nurse's name? Not at all. But I do know now, in hindsight, what she did for me and how she built me up.
I came out when I was 17, 10 years ago now, and that's why I started going to therapy again, because we actually filmed another thing for this job. And I had a conversation with my mom, like we went back to the day I came out to her, and it put me back into like being 17 and like miserable. And that was literally the start of like a huge depression.
Yeah.
And like going to therapy now, it's really good to, you know, hear that things do get better.
Somebody is literally gonna hear that and think back to their little 17-year-old self and think about how they were struggling, and it's going to still be affecting them. And hearing you say that you're getting help for that, again, there's that piece of kindness that you just think you're at work. That now is about to, like, somebody in their bedroom is going to be watching this and they're going to feel inspired and be like, wow, okay, this is it. And you were like, I talked to my mom, which was the action step. You figured out there was an issue for you. And then the plan was you went to therapy. And I think that's helped somebody to say, oh, I'm here. I didn't know therapy was an option.
What is one thing you would tell your closeted self, or when you were not open?
Yeah, when I wasn't letting people in.
Yes.
That there was such a community of people who wanted to show me love and support. Again, I you know, watching some of the early stuff and hearing things about the gay community, I thought like everyone was going to be shady and judging me. And of course, people do that because they're making those fear-based, you know, decisions. But there's also such an amazing group of people that just want to show you love and help you out and support you. And I think I would have told myself that and encouraged myself that and let that message play in my head more instead of the fear-based decision of like people are going to be judging me and I have to act a certain way and I have to look a certain way and I have to have these clothes and whatever the case may be.